Hi everybody, it's Kathy again. Here we are, part 2 of our setup for our design office commercial project. I've inserted the base plan, and now the next step is to actually set up some layers so that I can start to draw. And I'm going to show you my layers I currently have set up. These are the suggested layers that I recommend that you use for this project. You can find this screen showing the suggested layers on Canvas. And let me just pull this menu down just a bit so that you can follow these basic layers, and then you can also add your own as you go along and you find things that you want to be able to turn on or off or change properties specifically by layer. Then you can set up additional layers. One of the things you can do to eliminate all of those extra layers that came in with your base plan is to select over here in the left under filters the all non-XREF layers. Once you select all non-XREF layers, it turns off all of those extra layers and shows only the layers that you've created yourself. So I do recommend that you start with a base plan layer and base plan hatch so that you can work with your base plan, and then when you start to add your partitions, you want to have a partition layer. You may want to add multiple types of partitions, and so you could have specific names for each of those partitions. For example, if you have full height glass partitions, or if you have partial height partitions, 4 foot or 5 foot or 6 foot high, versus full height floor to ceiling solid partitions, which would be solid walls. You can start to have additional partition names if you like. So right now I'm just going to use the single partition layer and put all of my partitions on that same layer. Again, you can find this list on Canvas, and then you can add any layers that you wish in addition to these layers. Okay, so now that I have my layers set up, I'm ready to start drawing, and I have a base plan layer set up. So I'm going to go to that base plan layer, and I'm going to actually trace around my base plan here so that I can use those outer walls to do offsetting, to do construction line, and to further create the partitions that I need for my plan. So I'm going to go ahead and use the line command, and I want to make sure that I have the object snap on, and I'm going to go for the endpoints and start to trace my plan so that I have lines. And I'm not going to worry about the doors or windows right now. I'm just going to get the outer walls done, and then again start my line command and follow the inner part of this plan all the way around. Oops. Make sure I snap to the correct endpoints. And so now I have basically the outline, and I've used my base plan as the reference, but I've actually drawn my own lines. And now that I have those lines there, I can start to use the construction lines to set up where I want my office spaces to be. So I'm going to switch to the construction line layer, and again, this layer, if you follow my setup, is going to be a no print layer. And we're going to go to the Draw tab, select Construction Line. Remember, these are infinitely long lines that show us basically where we want to draw our walls, put our doors, etc. So they're basically guidelines. So I'm going to use the Offset command for the X line, and I want to offset 15 feet, and I want to offset this bottom line, and I want to go up in this direction. And then I'm going to offset one more time, so repeat the command. It's construction line offset, and I'm going to offset 18 feet, and I'm going to select this inside line and go in that direction. So I'm kind of dividing this into two separate areas here, and I'm thinking that I may want to give the if I'm going to put the conference room at the top, I may want to give it a little bit more space, but we'll work with this for now. And then off in the right-hand corner, I know that I want to put that workroom. So I'm going to, again, do the construction line and construction line offset. And let's give this about 10 feet. And I want to offset this line in the left direction. So I could have my conference room here, my owner's office here, my open office area, my reception, could cover all of this. And it looks like I may want to move my construction line, this one, down just a bit. So I'm going to use the move command, select the construction line, and let's just move it down about 2 feet. Okay. And then I know that if this is my owner's office, I do need to have the door here and I need to have the proper ADA clearances. So I'm going to move this line over about 3.5 feet. So again, move command, and move this from this point to the left 3.5 feet. And actually I want to copy it because I want to have that other line still there. So I'm going to copy it back 3.5 feet. And now I kind of have my doorway area, my owner's office, and my conference room. So now I can actually go to my partition layer and start to draw my walls. And I'm just going to follow my construction lines, which makes it super easy. Okay, and now I can start to offset, and my walls are usually 4 inches thick, so I'm going to be offsetting my lines 4 inches through and select the line and go to the left, select this line, and I'm going to go up and select this one. I don't know why I keep getting. Sorry, repeat the offset command. 4 inches, enter, select this line, and off to the left 4 inches. So I basically have the wall set up, and then we can do the same thing over here. Offset 4 inches. And then we're going to do the fillet command to close off those corners and clean it up. So the fillet command here, and we want the radius 0 inches. And then we can come over here and pick each side. Do the same thing here, fillet. Let's see, we didn't get this one, so one more time. Enter. Okay, so I was just having a little trouble with that fillet because it wants to know if I'm trying to fillet the construction line or if I'm trying to fillet the regular line. So I finally did get it to fillet this corner as well. And then here we're going to use the trim command. So we're going to go to the trim, which is here, and then we want to select the cutting lines, and it wants me to distinguish whether I want to cut with the X line or with my regular line. I'm always choosing the regular line. Enter, and then start to trim away our lines. So I have basically my separated areas, and I can continue to add the doors, I can continue to add openings, and then get my partition plan complete. All right, so you're going to continue to work on this partition plan. You're going to add doors to your rooms. You're going to add any interior windows. You're also going to add dimensions and text telling me which rooms each one of these are with square footages. So that being said, I did realize that I don't have a text layer yet, and I don't have an interior window layer. So you can go ahead and add those layers. You're going to want to add text, which we like to have that as green and continuous. And then you can also add an interior window layer. And those interior windows are the ones that are between the offices looking out into the reception area from the owner's office, or looking between the conference room and the owner's office, or out from the workroom. So you do need to have a few extra layers, and you'll find that you'll need to add a few more as well. Okay, so the other thing that you can do to get your project file, your drawing set up, is to go into your Design Center under Insert, Design Center, and you want to bring in any, I'm going to have to drag this over into the screen here. You're going to want to go to your Open Drawings, and you're going to want to bring in, let's go up here, the dimension styles, the text styles, and the multi-leader styles that we created in our first project. So don't forget to bring in all of that information so that when you're ready, you'll have those text styles, dimension styles, and leader styles for when you're going to dimension your partition plan. So your partition plan does need to be complete. All the walls need to be complete, and you do have to create a partition legend showing the different types of walls that you're going to be creating. Okay, so I'm going to end this part 2, and then we'll start with part 3 with some completed partitions, and I'll show you how to do that partition plan to completion.